Hello everyone. It is Wednesday, January the 6th, 2016, about 5 p.m. and this is DelrayVAWeather.com. We're going to do a quick winter weather update. The last model run, that's the GFS 12Z, has again showed a potential for snow on January the 12th and 13th. And that's getting within the boundary of being a little more accurate. That's about 7 days out. So it's something that we need to take a look at. The 18Z is in the process of running, and I would not be surprised if this snow threat doesn't disappear in the 18Z. It's been alternating, and it seems like the two runs that actually are balloon runs, where they actually release sounding balloons from a lot of different stations around the world. Those are the Midnight, the 0Z, and the 12Z seem to be more showing the snow, where the intermediate ones, the 6Z and the 18Z, it disappears in. So we need to really take a look at this, and for several reasons. What you see is up on the screen is the buff kit analysis of the GFS 12Z. Again, this is over Washington Reagan National Airport, and this is currently set for 9 p.m. on Tuesday, January the 12th. And if you notice, we got these two blue dots. That usually signifies that there's a potential of getting moderate snow in that period of time. And we're talking about the precipitation rate of being about a 0.154 in that period, which is a pretty good rate, depending upon what the snow ratio would be at that time. And that's the other puzzling thing here. There is the potential of a fairly high snow ratio during that period, and that actually introduces a lot more uncertainty with regard to what the totals will be. If you look down at the bottom here, this gives you an indication of how close we are freezing. This is in centigrade, so 0 centigrade is 32 Fahrenheit freezing point. The red line is temperature, and the green line is dew point temperature. And it's at 9 p.m. on January the 12th, the surface temperature is going to be very close to freezing. It's probably going to be perhaps just slightly above freezing that time. And as I'm sure you've observed, if you have moderate snow coming down, it quickly reduces the surface temperature to freezing or below. If we move this around a little bit, you're going to see that actually over this 3-hour period, it's still showing moderate snow. So it means that, between 3 and 6 hours, we're going to have a moderate snow rate during that time. So snow actually can build up pretty quickly if we actually see that rate. If we bump this up to the afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, January the 12th, we're substantially above freezing. We're 2 degrees centigrade above freezing, and that's probably the borderline of actually accumulation. But as we get later in that day, we definitely are going to be dropping temperature. And if we go to 12 a.m. Wednesday, we're still showing moderate snow rate, and we are at freezing at that point. And then it starts slacking off at 3 a.m., but we are substantially below freezing at that point. And the temperature just continues to go down. So that means that any accumulation over that late Tuesday afternoon, early Wednesday morning is not going to melt. It's going to pretty much stick in place. Okay, I want to show you this. This shows the overview of the entire 10-day period. And this is where we're talking about. This is the potential snow, and you can see it's centered around Tuesday at 9 p.m. But let me show you what happens when we change some snow ratios. If we do, there's a famous meteorologist, Cobb, who developed different ways of calculating snow ratio based upon what the sounding is showing at that given time. And there are two methods. One's called Cobb 5, one's called Cobb 11. If we do Cobb 5, you'll suddenly see this jump. And if we measure what the accumulation is, if it turns out to be a Cobb 5 snow ratio, we're actually talking about in the neighborhood of 7 inches. If we use this other technique, this is an older technique, not very accurate, but it's called the max T profile. And if we look at what the potential snow would be at that amount, we're talking about 2.8 inches. If we do a snow ratio using the climatological average, and actually this is set for 12, climatological for Reagan National Airport is about 10 to 1. So we're going to bump this down to 10 to 1, and now we're going to take a look and see what the accumulation is. Again, it comes up to about 2.8. If we do the Cobb 11, that's the other technique for measuring what snow ratio would be. We're talking about 5 inches. So there is the potential of getting as much as 7 inches out of this storm if it does in fact materialize. The other thing, the reason why I think this may be potentially, at least towards the end of this, being a high snow ratio, is if we move this timer back to where we saw the moderate snows, and you look over here, these large, long lines. This indicates a wind speed, and this is showing that there's considerable lift during this period of time, which means that it's going to keep the snow higher in altitude, and in likelihood will become much drier and fluffier, which would imply a higher snow ratio. So definitely this is something we need to take a watch carefully. Okay, I want to switch to a couple of other things to show you what's going on. This is the Iowa State Meteogram. I use it a lot. Again, it shows the potential for snow in Tuesday, Wednesday. These two lines are the two different calculations. What we have here is this is a 10 to 1 ratio, would produce about 2.8. And this is the max T, which would produce about 2. So it is showing, again, using the GFS, it's showing a considerable chance of snow that time. And I should point out, this model, the GFS, it's been on again, off again for this January 12th, January 14th, for the last 2 weeks. However, in the past, this storm has generally been on the low side, with one exception, in the neighborhood of about 1 inch. This is the first time that I've seen, at least within the a reasonable time frame, of a increasing potential for snow, the snow depth. And that makes me think that perhaps this is going to actually materialize. Okay, this is College of DuPage again. It's something I use all the time to take a look at critical thickness and moisture. DC is in this area. This is set for about 6 p.m. Let me make sure that's right. No, it's about 12 noon on January the 12th. And as you can see, the critical thicknesses are pretty far south of DC, and we got quite a bit of moisture over us. And this continues through, actually, let me see what time is this. Yeah, we definitely are still having moisture at midnight on Wednesday the 13th in the area. Again, showing that it's going to be a considerably long period that it could potentially be snowing. This is the sounding. Actually, this is set with the latitude and longitude directly over Delray. And it also is showing for, let me see, this is set for, let's see, 3:10. It's 9 p.m. on Tuesday, the 12th of January. And it is showing quite a bit of moisture occurring. And it's showing a best guess of snow. And I think this has some real legs. I have a feeling that this period in between the probably noon on the 12th through noon on the 13th is a period that we definitely need to keep an eye on. I'll continue to do updates as we get closer. Certainly by Sunday, we should have a much higher confidence of whether it's going to happen or not happen. So you should definitely stay tuned. And if you have any questions, just give me a tweet at PatPend, that's PatPend, and I'll try and answer them. Thanks a lot.